I dream and the world trembles.
You are listening to Emerald Dreamcast, a World of Warcraft podcast, with your hosts Hazel and Wowmartiean. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here on our first podcast. That felt good. Been waiting to do that for a while now. Yeah. So let me introduce my co-host, who I think is still on the line. Hazel?
Hi, I'm Hazel.
It's Hazel. So thank you again. Like I said, welcome to the Emerald Dreamcast. It's been a long time in the making. We've been talking about this in particular for the past couple weeks about making it really a thing, and to finally debut it, everything that we've talked about and the intro and all that stuff, to share it with you guys after just like keeping it to ourselves for so long. Very exciting, and we're just ecstatic that anybody showed up. So thank you guys very much. Hazel, what can? Yeah, this is Hazel.
Hi.
If you've not, hi.
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 Mine. Okay.
All right.
We're easily distracted. Hazel has been a friend of mine for a while now, and she has an amazing YouTube channel. If you guys have not seen, go to her YouTube channel. It's HazelNuttyGames, correct?
That's it. That's the one.
YouTube/HazelNuttyGames. Great stuff. Her content is actually, this is how I first found her, was just I saw some of her videos and they were so high quality and you could tell there was a passion there, and I was just like, you need more views and you're just doing awesome and I think you're great. So we kind of got talking that way. And she also does great live streams. What's your schedule? Is it Monday through Friday?
I do Tuesday through Sunday, basically. Weekdays are 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. Pacific, and then weekends just kind of happen whenever. And sometimes we do Friday afternoons as well, but that's all PvP with very harsh language. It's a little bit of a different thing.
It's crazy. That's nuts. It's HazelNutty.
Hazel. Yeah. There's Hazel from HazelNuttyGames, and there's Hazel Bro.
Wow.
That's my...
See, folks, I'm learning stuff.
Yeah.
So, but first and foremost, we want to talk about, the nature of this podcast. Is it a World of Warcraft podcast? There's plenty of World of Warcraft podcasts. The main things that we want to talk about here are a lot of, I think we're going to be somewhat more positive. Not that other ones are negative, but we really want to talk about the love that we have for this game, because she and I have been playing. How long have you been playing?
I started playing right around when the ICC patch came out for Wrath, so whenever that was.
Okay.
At least 5 years ago, if not more.
Okay. And I started in vanilla about 6 months before BC, so it's actually July 5th this year will be my 10-year anniversary, which is absolutely insane. So, but we've both talked a lot. I mean, here it is in a content drought, let's be honest, and we continue to play, and we continue to find things to do, and we are probably the distinct kind of hardcore fan base that this game has. And there's plenty of us out there that continue to play this game regardless of content, current content and all that stuff. And we find things to do. We always find things to do. We don't, I mean, there's...
Something actually just occurred to me when you were saying that. Have you ever unsubbed from WoW?
Yeah, actually, and that's what I was gonna say. We're not generally the ones that unsub from the game, but I have only unsubbed once that I can really remember. Maybe twice. One time, like for a week or something, and then another time. The only real significant time was in Cataclysm when Rift launched. And I can't remember exactly when that was, but I played Rift for 2 months and came back to World of Warcraft. So that's the only time I've really significantly had any kind of unsubbing going on. What about you?
Never.
Never.
Absolutely never.
There.
And I'm thinking now, and I think it's been 8 years since that Wrath patch, approximately, because I remember being maybe 7 years. I remember being 16 years old and in high school and just really excited to play this new game. Well, it wasn't new, but to get into this game that all my friends were talking about so that I could actually participate in their conversations, because I had no idea what they were saying. and it's been 7 or so years, and I just never unsubbed. The closest I ever came was some point in Mists of Pandaria. It was during the Siege of Orgrimmar drought, and Dark Souls 2 came out, and I went a little hard on Dark Souls 2, and I considered unsubbing because I almost couldn't find time to pick my potatoes and WoW because that was all I was doing, but I still found time to pick my potatoes,
right.
and then
there you go.
And then the WoD beta came out, and here we are.
There you go. Yeah, see, honestly, what was it? About... Must have been a month ago or so that I honestly just stopped playing for like 2 weeks. I didn't unsub, but I just kind of didn't play because right now my main thing is working my garrisons for gold. And it was getting a little bit tedious, obviously, logging in and doing my garrison, chores and everything every day. So I kind of left that go. And I got into some other games. I was playing some, Hearthstone and stuff, but I got into not the latest Tomb Raider, but the one previous to that, playing a lot of Rocket League. And I just kind of let it go. And then one day I was just like, I need to log in and work on some stuff. And I went completely right back to where I was. And I was just like, you know what? There is no doubt that I am an addict for this game. And it's never going to change. And it was
so much more than the game, too. I mean, if I've ever spent any amount of time away from the game, even if I found the coolest other thing to occupy my time, 100% of my social life is attached to this game. All of my friends are all basically through WoW. So anytime that I spend a week not playing WoW, not that I've done that, but if I did, it gets really lonely because I don't. It's all through this one game. So
right,
it's hard to break away.
The social aspect is a huge part of this game, and that's one of the reasons why it's weird for me to play like a single player game like Tomb Raider. I mean, it's fun, it's a nice change of pace, but then you're kind of like, where's that little extra thing that I'm used to from a game? And that's that social. And there's so many different aspects to the social part of this game. And actually, that's not a topic that we started thinking we'll talk about, but we can definitely go on to that. But it's just. There's so many times we've made friendships, like you said. You and I, we can do stuff, whatever. But what I like, honestly, are the little things. Have you ever been flying around, wherever, doing something? You see somebody struggling to kill a rare or something, and you just go down there and pop it for them, whatever else, and they're really grateful, and it becomes a little.
Never. The weak must die. Okay, only the strong will survive.
See, again, I'm learning things about Hazel today. Maybe this is the last episode of Emerald Dreamcast. But no, seriously, I mean, we've all had those moments where either somebody has come to your aid and we've come to theirs. And whether you maintain that friendship for a long time or you just help them for that moment, you made the game better for them for that little bit. And it feels good. And I love doing those kind of things. I remember when I first started playing, people were so nice. Now, I was on an RP server initially just because that's where my friends said to go. I didn't know what a roleplay server was or anything. They were just like, this is where we're playing, come here. But I'm thankful for that experience because they seem to be a little less hardcore and, trolling and stuff like that. They were really respectful of the world of the game and the lore and things that I probably wouldn't have had an appreciation for if I wouldn't have had that experience. And it just made me. I remember sitting there going, I wish the real world people were like this.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment like, this is a very special situation. So, anyway,
I found that to be true of RP servers as well. I used to play almost exclusively on RP servers just because the community there is just so vibrant, and you can walk around the world and kind of get immersed a little bit just because everybody has names that sound like they belong in the world. I'm not going to come up with one that doesn't because it's going to get out of hand real quick. But you know what I mean. No, it's a very nice place to be.
Well, on an RP server, I was originally, my druid was originally named Marty McFly, and he got reported, and that's when Martian came along, because I just needed to have something that said Marty, and then I was just like, whatever, EAN. If I don't like it, I'll change it later. And I should have, because everybody went, Martian. I'm like, no, son of a...
You do have a remarkably high concentration of vowels on the back end of your name there.
Absolutely, and that's why it's just stupid. Who puts 3 vowels together?
It makes me think of ice cream.
What?
I don't know why. Is there a type of ice cream that has I, E, and A consecutively in it? There must be.
Neapolitan's kind of there, but I don't know. Anyway,
it's going to come to me 4 months from now, and I'll tell you all about it.
This is not the ice cream podcast. That's later. We're going to call it 33 flavors. No, okay. So, but what we want to talk about, honestly, initially is, like I said, you guys probably, I mean, I've got a YouTube channel and I stream and stuff like that, but I don't want to get into that. What I want to talk about first is, again, we were talking in pre-show how long it's been that this podcast has been like in the back of our minds. And initially, this podcast was going to be one of many people. It wasn't just going to be the two of us. It was going to be four of us. And things just kind of didn't work out, scheduling and real life stuff, and my real life situation in particular, where I was kind of struggling with where I was living and stuff like that. Just did not. It never gelled. And so, but Hazel and I have talked off and on about doing something like this for a little bit. And in particular, like I said, about 2-3 weeks ago, I approached you, and I really think, now that I think back on it, it was when I came back to WoW after that 2-week hiatus, and I was just like super pumped and really jazzed to be back, and like I said, realizing how addicted I really am. And I'm like, you know what? It's just time to face it. As much as there's a ton of WoW podcasts, and everybody can sit here and say the game is dying because this terrible expansion and lack of content. I'm just like, I'm having a fun time. I'm doing my thing, and I'm doing stuff that I never thought I would do, and I'm doing all right. And it's not so bad, and I wouldn't mind talking about that. I knew exactly who to go to talk to about that. So yeah, it's been 2 years that we've had this idea in mind.
That's so crazy to think about.
Whoa.
That's such a long time.
You were quiet. What happened?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't touch anything.
You got super quiet on my end.
Maybe it'll come back. Sometimes that happens. If I just keep talking, I'll keep making words for a sec.
Yeah, no, I think it's back.
Pickles?
I think it's fine now.
Okay.
All right. So, but yeah, 2 years in the making, and we finally had this podcast. And I have to say, kudos on the name, and that was all Hazel. I mean, we were trying to come up with names, or we were supposed to come up with names, and basically we got together and talked about names and stuff, and she laid out this one and one other one.
Well, we got together, and I was like, "What do you have?" And you're like, "Nothing."
Okay, I was gonna get to that. Let me praise you first, and then we'll come back to me. But no, seriously, I really didn't have anything, and thank God. And I really don't think I said that first. I was like, Emerald Dreamcast, brilliant, that's amazing, because I got nothing anyway. No, but I do love it. It's amazing. I think it's perfect. We both play druids, so it works.
Those are actually our two druids. You can see on the screen there, giggling away.
Yes, absolutely. So, and then the amazing logo that we have. So
that one's less good. That's a work in progress.
She did that as well. So, but yeah, so it's been a long time coming, and we're really thankful to be able to do this. Like I said, we've wanted to for a long time, so it's neat that it's actually a thing now. Mm-hmm. And again, the continuing 2 years in the making, and today, of course, Monday is our first show, and then yesterday, wouldn't you know it, my PC was acting kind of funny, and my C drive died on me, so I had to go and get a new C drive and just put Windows back on. And
did you have to reinstall everything?
Oh
no!
So starting from scratch completely. So
did you have your add-ons backed up?
No.
Public service announcement: back up your WTF folder onto a thumb drive. Keep it in your desk. It's a real pain in the butt to set all that up again.
It really is. I don't have too much that's too complicated, but you know what? I'm wondering if I can rescue anything off this drive. I'm gonna hook it up later and see if I actually
get it. The last time I thought I'd lost all my add-on settings, I actually literally cried. It was like right before raid night, and it was just a bad day, and I was trying to get everything together to raid, and I just like couldn't even do it. And then I think our powers went out. It was just a bad day.
Okay, but, not good. So so that happened, and then I finally got that situated. Everything's getting set up. Windows is good. I'm downloading everything, getting WoW and everything back on. And we had some rain here, and I'm actually, my office currently is the basement of the home that I'm in with my girlfriend and her mom, and we have two windows that tend to leak a bit if it rains or whatever else. Nothing dramatic, but enough. And I was like kind of monitoring that, no big deal. And then I just looked up, and right in front, or actually behind my computer, was a massive just pool of water. And it was encroaching actually real close to my power supply and everything else. Holy crap. In fact, again, we'll this is not going to help anybody else in terms of like the audio version, but if I get this to move, there we go. You can see, there we go. That's a bit. It's not much, unfortunately. I could have had a better picture, but you can see lots of water.
You can see the thread of an alligator climbing up that hole.
There's no alligator. Stop it, guys. Right. So you can see, it was like, it really, for the past 2 years, it's felt like somebody did not want us to do this show. Mm-hmm. So in true Hazel and Wowmartiean style, we're basically just like, screw you. We're gonna
doing it anyways.
Tempting fate. We're do it live. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
So anyway. So that's and what else do we? I can't remember what else we were going to talk about.
So do you actually still have water encroaching across your floor at this moment?
Yes, right now. It's right. Now I went and got a wet vac today. I'm looking at it right now, making sure it's not getting too close to my PC. But I did get a wet vac today. And it seems to be stabilized. It seems to stay in the same place. It doesn't. You don't
have little goldfish working their way over.
No,
that'd be cute.
Actually, that's a good idea. I might have to do that. Oh, look, Nemo. Anyway, so but yeah, it's like I said, it's been kind of crazy. So we're very glad to finally be doing this.
I'm so excited.
Well, I mean, and let's talk about, in terms of WoW podcasts, like I said, there's a ton of them. And like I said, there's a ton of people that are just like, yeah, that game right now, it's boring. I'm unsubbing, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, what keeps you playing? I mean, particularly, we talk about, in fact, we can go into our first topic, basically, from this. Content drought, obviously, and a lot of people not liking the expansion. But regardless of that, we've had, 6.2 was how long ago now?
Let's Google it. It was a long, long time.
Been a year, I think. And, no new content. Now, I see one thing that I think doesn't bother me about that as much as it may have used to. I know it used to, because we've been dealing with this at Wrath, Kata, Miss, that last patch taking forever, is I don't raid anymore. So it doesn't affect me as much. Mm-hmm.
This was the first time that I've actually, like in the past, this is my first expansion that I've actually raided almost the whole way through. In Wrath I just started, and then in Cataclysm I kind of casualed about, and then in Mop I casualed about even harder. And this is the first time I raided all 3 tiers, or 2 tiers, or 1 tier, whatever, in Warlords. So I actually got to really understand what it is that people talk about when they say, man, this content drought is killing us. Like, there's nothing to do. This raid has been out for too long. I never really understood that before, because I was just running around collecting butterflies, literally collecting butterflies and leveling alts and whatever else. But this time I was raiding, and I got to really experience that slow eventual burnout as you enter the same raid instance for the 72nd time, and you kill the same raid boss for gear that you haven't needed in a long, long time. And I got to kind of experience that this time. And I think I understand where people are coming from. It does get kind of tiring, but the thing that our guild did was we just found a time that we had pretty much gotten everything we were going to get, and then we said, you know what, let's just call it. Let's just come back in Legion. We'll take a break, and you can keep playing if you want. You can do whatever you want. We'll be back for whatever comes out next, but we're just not going to keep putting ourselves through this. So I think it's important to find a time, if your guild is reaching that burnout point, to consider that maybe it's not the worst thing in the world to just set that part of the game down. There's so much else to do that you don't necessarily need to keep going into Hellfire Citadel if it's making you want to shoot yourself.
Yeah, see, I've only been there a few times. I don't even know. I don't think I've done LFR even, but I've done, some normal runs and things like that to get geared, to get the moves and all that stuff. And I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't, think back to the raids that we used to do and the stories attached to them and stuff. And this one just it feels like you're just going, paint by numbers in a raid. And so it didn't really interest me.
It had some really neat fights. I really enjoyed the fight mechanics of it, and I had quite a bit of fun in that aspect of it. But I'm really sick of dark, gloomy raids. We've had a lot of them. Pretty much everything except for Heimal in Warlords of Draenor was very grim. And I'm really excited about the first tier of Legion because there looks like there's some very pretty raids that have kind of a brighter aesthetic, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But as far as actually having things to do during this really long patch, I think there's lots of things to do, but Hellfire Citadel is not necessarily the best one to be occupying your time with. I mean, obviously, if you're enjoying it, if you're one of those people that likes gearing up a number of alts and trying out different raid playstyles and trying to become the best at them as you can, then Hellfire Citadel's great, but it's very easy to burn out in fights like that. So there's lots of other stuff keep yourself busy with.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, beyond, you're really doing a lot with PvP as well these days.
That's been my saving grace, basically.
When you, I would say solo play. I don't know how often you play by, Play by yourself. Oh God. How? But
I mean, in the past, before I got married, Okay.
Okay.
We're not gonna do that. But I did solo play quite a bit through Kata and Mop. I didn't really have a guild, but I haven't done it basically at all in Hellfire. So I've kind of seen both sides of the keeping yourself busy doing so with other people and on your own.
Right. Is there one main thing that you're looking to accomplish while we have this downtime? Is there a mount or anything in particular that you're just trying to achieve?
Well, I haven't really started yet because it's going to mean stopping PvPing for longer than an hour. But one thing I would really like to get done before Legion is... So, in Legion, when my raiding guild comes back together, I think I want to raid as a Shadow Priest, which means that I'm going to need that insane title. I'm going to need to be Hazel the Insane, the Shadow Priest with
See, I keep thinking about
doing that. It's going to be too good.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway done. I need to do the lockbox thing, and I have 2 more goblin reps to do, and then I'm done. Those are the only things left, is 2 of the goblin reps. I'm halfway done those, and then the lockbox thing. But I think the lockbox thing is going to take me a while.
Yeah. No. And that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. Right now, when it comes to this downtime, I think it's a good time to do something that takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. I'm going for 1 million gold, which I've never done before. I'm at about 650k now. And I never thought I would do something like that at all. And honestly, of course, if it wasn't for Garrisons, I wouldn't be. I mean, it's a total cheat, so I'm not going to pretend that it's not. But it's still something that I never thought I would achieve in this game. And again, coming up in 10 years, I've done a lot of different things. So it's kind of weird to think that the one thing that I never thought I would ever come close to accomplishing. Because before this, the most money I ever had was 130K. Mm-hmm. And that was in Kata. I basically went for 100K just because I was like, I want to say I made at least 100K once. And then I bumped it up to 130 just so I could do that and to have a Sandsails Drake at the same time. So. Right. But that's it. So now 650, and just gonna keep pushing and see what happens.
It must not take very long. You have you're one of these people just like me that has a fairly insane amount of alts.
Yes.
And do you have garrisons on all of them?
Well, my horde server, I have 11 ones that have level 3 garrisons that are completely decked out with treasure hunters and everything. So that's basically what I've been doing. I'm starting to expand onto my main alliance server where I have 11, one of each class, to 100 as well, and I'm starting to work on those as well, just tweaking them here and there, making sure I get my weekly followers from the inn and stuff like that. I'm not going to worry about them being level 3 garrisons for a while. I just want to get the followers and stuff, because a lot of them I powered leveled. That's the most time-consuming part. Yeah. I mean, most of them I powered leveled through the way, there's a video that on my channel about how I power level with the elixir of the rapid mind and stuff like that. So it's really fast, and then I don't, in the process, like when you first level, you don't walk around and end up picking up followers randomly here and there. So they don't have a lot of followers. So, and like we've talked about, just you and I, it really, most of those followers are kind of junk anyway. They're kind of nice filler, but eventually you'll deactivate them anyway for the ones that you want from the inn anyway. So I'm just kind of slowly working those. And I'm finally working on the shipyards, which I hadn't touched at all, because
shipyards are such a good source of gold. They're such a pain in the butt to set up. Especially with the spam rebuilding ships to try and get the good ones that you want. It's so irritating that I've only really done it once, but it's so much extra gold.
It really is, and that's why I thought, what, I'll get them going, kind of see how they are, and I've got them all running on 11 tunes on my horde server, and
You're gonna have your 1 million within like another week.
But no, most of them are really casual. A lot of them haven't even got. I mean, actually, only 2 of them have the command table in their garrison at this point. So it's a slow, because I mean, a lot of them don't have a real good source of the oil anyway.
That's the worst part, is to really get a good self-sufficient shipyard. You need to do enough dailies in Tanan to get to Revered with Hand of the Prophet so that you can get that oil rig running on the shipyard. That's the real self-sufficient point, and it's annoying.
Right, and so that's why it's like, if I get a couple hundred gold from it, I've gotten a little bit more here and there, then it's all bonus, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I mean, the main things are gonna still be the garrison gold from Blingtron and all that stuff. So, of course. But so that's the main thing I've been working on.
So here's a question for you though.
Yeah.
When you have your 1 million gold and you've done it, you threw a party, you tweeted about it, you called your mom, what are you gonna spend it on?
Well, the first thing I want to do is get the Spectral Tiger because it was one of the mounts that I've always wanted, even way back in vanilla. And I saw somebody running around, and I'm like, "Damn, that's nice." So, and I wouldn't, I don't know if I'd worry about that as much, but since I've gotten a lot of the mounts that I want to now at this point, because there was a string of time last fall where I got it was Ashes, Invincible, and Mimiron's Head in about like 3 consecutive months.
Wow.
And those like were the just end all be all mounts for me. And so once those kind of happened, I'm like, I don't know what else I'm gonna do now. I was tending and farming them forever, and they just kind of all. But when you talk about alts, I mean, I was running 11 of them pretty much on all those different raids every week, and I learned how to be able to just solo by myself, set myself up so that I could have a lockout on those last bosses on each one. Well, it doesn't matter for Ashes, but Lich King and Mimiron's Head. So, one of these days I need to do a video about that because I don't know how many people know about that. But it was easy for me to just go in and do that last boss on 11 different tunes, and that obviously is probably more than likely the main reason I got it because I just upped my odds.
Yeah.
So yeah, now that that's done, I think that's the only mount that I still kind of have always wanted. So I'll do that, and then little other things like what's the Travelers?
Traveler's Tundra Mammoth.
No, I have that one. Sorry,
Grand Expedition Yak.
Yes, thank you. And I really don't need it. There's no.
Oh, you do. You 100%.
Do I?
It's so convenient.
Does it have the transmog on it now?
Yes.
Okay, because I knew they had to switch that. Okay, all right, I might do that. So yeah, I'll do a lot of little things that I've always wanted to do like that. Maybe I'll toy around with the black market auction house stuff like that. But I mean, my main thing I keep wondering about is once I do all that stuff, am I going to then keep maintaining my garrisons and keep making money? And then, I don't know. Well, I mean, I definitely want to pay for my WoW sub. You have actually have experience with that, with your many golds.
Yeah, basically.
Many golds.
I'm doing pretty much the same thing that you are with the 11 garrisons set up. I don't have shipyards on most of them, but I do have the level 2 jewel crafting hut now on all of them for that daily for an extra 300 gold each.
Right.
And I have a real hard time sitting on top of gold. I saved up enough for the Spectral Tiger, and I bought that. And I have almost all of the other TCG mounts as well. And after I got all those, it's like, well, what can I put my gold into? And I came on the WoW token, and I thought, well, this is kind of cool. I can kind of save up and buy a bunch of tokens and just apply them all to my account so that if anything ever happens, I'll still have a WoW sub for a long, long time. Right. And then I decided to see how far I can push that, and I just kept buying them, and I'd save gold, and I'd buy them, I'd save gold, and I'd buy them. And then they cut me off. I've reached a point, and apparently once you have 2 years to date in the future paid off of WoW through tokens, they won't let you buy anymore. You get an error message saying you have too many of that item, and you're just done. So now I guess I'm gonna try and get 1,000,000 gold too, because I have nothing. Actually, what I've been doing is I've been putting gold into pets that I can give away on my stream. Because I really don't like having massive amounts of gold. It makes gold feel cheap to me. Like, if I can log on my bank alt, and I look at it, and I have 600,000 gold, then I'm not going to feel as excited when I do a quest and I get 20, and then I sell the quest reward for another 40. I'm not going to feel as excited about that if I already have a giant stockpile. So
right. No,
I don't really like sitting on it myself.
That is true. But so after 2 years, they just said, no more. Is that like WoW's equivalent to the bartender just cutting you off?
Probably. But
Just no.
Whatever expansion comes out after Legion better be good, because I'm paid through 2018.
Well, you better tweet at Warcraft devs and make sure that they know. You show a screenshot. Look, this is what I
put some faith in
invested in. That's right. You owe me.
You owe me.
Let's make sure Legion is good first, and then we'll worry about the rest. So, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. Again, with people who play the game continuously at this point, especially people that are still playing now, which I know a ton of them. There's a lot of people I see unsubbing here and there, but for the most part, everybody's still. I mean, my close friends are still going strong. Mm-hmm. We all find stuff to do, and I'm curious. I mean, in fact, if you guys get a chance, Emerald Dreamcast at Gmail. Send in some kind of just ideas of what you guys are doing, what you guys find important in World of Warcraft during this content drought. I mean, for me, I know people's frustration with the content drought. I do, again, especially if you're a raider or whatever else. I understand it completely. But there's part of me, and I don't like to say it much because it sounds like it's a dirty thing, but part of me, I kind of like it because it gives me time to breathe and do
So
those
much time to catch up on all those things that you don't really have time for.
Absolutely.
When there's new content to chew through. Absolutely.
Right. And that's the thing, because I mean, there's so much that you want to do, when there's new patches rolling out, but you have to continually, no other way to put it, keep up with the Joneses, in terms of gear and everything else, that it's hard to be able to go find the time and go back and do those things. And you almost feel like, you're like living in the past when you do it. But I'm like I said, part of me likes this, and I'll probably get a lot of hate for that, but I hate to say it. There's part of me that gives, like I said, it gives me time to sit back and reevaluate my account, because again, 10 years. I've always kind of talked about WoW as being that hobby that I have, that's something tantamount to another person having a car that they work on. And I've always looked at my account as a whole as something I'm building and working towards, and something that I've enjoyed the process of, but also when I look at it, I'm happy with what I accomplished one way or another. The leveling of alts is another thing that we've talked about. Obviously, I'm known for that to a degree. I had 10 tunes to cap one of each class in Wrath, and then I did 20 in Kata, and then I did 30 to cap in Miss. And whether I'll do 40, I don't know. But
at some point, they're going to cut you off.
They should. Trust me, they should. Right now, this podcast, I'm probably basically just putting myself on their list of people who's like, now we really know. But I think I'm at 20. Yeah, I'm 24 100s right now. So I don't know if I'll go any farther than that. But man, I tell you what, every 100 you have, that's a lot of Fellblight. That's a lot of money.
Oh man, just with the Garrisons, this was the expansion that finally paid off for having all of those characters that I never play. I was so big on leveling alts and being really excited about the idea of being whatever that alt was, and I would get it to level cap, and I would gear it for a day, and I go, you know what, this isn't my main.
Right.
That was basically, actually, it's almost your fault that I didn't get anything done during Miss Pandaria, because you were all excited about your new guild. You decided you were going to start Trauma 2. That was what it's called, and we got all these people in. We were all excited. We were this big happy family, and it's like, okay, I'm going to level characters. So I leveled to 90, and then I leveled to 90, and then I leveled to 90, and I think I have a good 7 level 90 hordes on Thrall doing nothing, because that's what I did for Mob.
Hey, you're the one who abandoned the Horde and went to the Alliance after that. Don't blame me. Mm-hmm. Don't blame me. Now, yeah, I know. Trust me. One thing, if I think I've learned anything in 10 years of World of Warcraft, is that I am just a horrible guild master. I can't do it because I have so much going on in my life that it's hard for me to because you really have to maintain people. And you really have to do a lot of legwork, so to speak, to not only keep everybody happy that's in the guild, but also bring new people in. And, I had some people that I put in charge of that sort of thing, but, it needs to be the guild master.
It's so much work, yeah. And guilds really serve a bit of a different function these days. Like, they're not, now that things are so cross-realm, and you don't need to be within a guild to really do anything, the only real benefit to being in a guild is for guild achievements, for raiding. So outside of raiding guilds, you don't really see that many players interacting together in guilds anymore. Right,
and you're right. I mean, in terms of having this many alts, I've always been able to make them pay off in one way or another. But now with cross realm, well, not cross realm, account wide and stuff like that, in terms of like the, in fact, that's I think what really brought me back was Love is in the Air, trying to get that love rocket. Doing that on 22, 23 tunes every freaking week or every freaking day.
You didn't get it, did you?
No, of course not. 10 years now. And then in particular, I put my foot down. I said, this year, I'm going to make my odds the best I've ever made them. Mm-hmm. There's no way I'm not going to get it this year. And nothing. So I'm probably never going to worry about that amount again.
Yeah.
So, but little things like that, having this many alts, I wish I could say it paid off, but in that case, it didn't. But I had the right idea. And Garrisons...
It's definitely paying off for you in gold now, though.
Absolutely. I would never be doing what I'm doing without that. So, and what was I going to say? It totally just went out of my head. But yeah, for once, my alts... I've always appreciated having my alts for different things. But this year, I think, this time, in this expansion, I don't quite look as crazy. Maybe it looks like I knew what I was doing all along.
You planned it. 100%
Yeah.
planned.
Oh, absolutely. I have Garrisons. I knew about those. I
Mm-hmm.
knew they were coming. I said guild housing. I'm like, nah, guild housing, dog. No, there's better coming. Garrisons. No, sorry. I actually hated Garrisons when I did. I absolutely hated
I
Garrisons.
thought Garrisons were the coolest thing when they first launched. I was so excited because you remember when Warlords launched, and there were all of the server issues, and they were just like
Yes.
billions of people, and you're flying around Shadowmoon Valley, or you're running around Shadowmoon Valley trying to kill crows and trying to plant your flags to get logs, and there's 19,000 people fighting you for them, and then your server's lagging, and that moment when you turn in that quest, and all of a sudden they all phased away, and it was just quiet, and I immediately /left trade chat, and /left general chat, and I just kind of sat in my garrison being like, this space is mine, and none of you can get in. This is my fort. That was just such a cool feeling for me. And then the fact that I could set up my missions and then still be kind of accomplishing something in WoW while I was gone, I thought that was really neat. And it had some good ideas. It was just too central to the whole thing. And once you've done it once, it started to get older and older until we got to the point where we have now, where everybody wants to burn them down.
Right, and that's exactly what my issue was. There was no getting around doing a garrison. If you were going to level a character, you're going to play. You get to level 100. You were going to play warlords. You had to deal with a garrison at least to a degree. And I really. And here's the kicker. I don't know if we really want to get into. We're just like we're totally off the scope here, but I really don't think that's what they were supposed to be. I mean, if you remember, garrisons were supposed to be able to be put anywhere in Draenor and everything else, and then it all became centralized. I think things really. I don't know, but one of the reasons why I think I hate to say it, Legion Warlords is the way it is, and why it took so long from Mist to Warlords is garrisons. I think that was such new tech and new idea that they had a lot bigger, a lot more on their plate than they anticipated, and it just
has that feel of something that just kind of grew out of control.
Yeah, I really think it did, and like I said, making it so mandatory makes it really feel like that. So anyway, so we've talked a lot about what casuals do, and I still say, I'm going to throw this out here. I still say a tagline for this podcast is that we're hardcore casuals. I think that's an amazing thing because we're hardcore about being casual. I level characters. Don't tell me 24 100s is not. That's not casual. That's
not.
hardcore leveling, and that's what I'm saying. Something that you look at as something very casual, but somebody takes it to the extreme to the point where it's really not casual at all. You do a lot of pet battles and stuff. If you check her videos on our channel, like I said, amazing stuff, and she's like hardcore pet battler. And you don't think of hardcore and pet battling together, but I believe that's where those terms kind of are misconstrued.
Maybe one day they will. Blizzard's going to add a spectating UI. They're going to make a BlizzCon tournament. I'm going to be a champion.
Pet battling esport.
I want it, man. I want it. I want it real bad. If they added a spectating UI, then I would put on my own tournament. I would be the GCD TV of pet battles.
Well, there we
find people to fight for me, but there's just no way to do it right now.
There we go. I have a few ideas. See, if we just put our heads together, we could come up with some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeti racing. Let me talk about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. You're wondering what I'm talking about. In Kunlai.
Okay.
And I've actually done this for a charity stream. When I was on the Epic podcast, we actually did this for the 24-hour charity stream. In Kunlai, there is a quest where you get to ride on the back of a Yeti. And you go out and kill some Hosen, and you come back and you turn it in, and that's it. But if you do it, excuse me, I got a cough, and I'm like, where's my mute? There we go, not in your ears. If you do it, you can actually be phased and you can run around all of Kunlai. And there's no NPCs or anything, but you can take that thing the entire way all around that zone. And it's a daily too, so if you do it once, you can still go back and do it. So what we did was we got a bunch of people, and they have fun jumping, animations and like going up the mountains and stuff is a very big challenge. So we took everybody, put them all way on the northern coast, back behind all the mountains, and said, okay, you have to get to the gate for the Eternal Blossoms and just go, and whoever gets there first is the winner. So I like Yeti racing. In fact, when they came out with the Yeti mount, in Warlords, I was like really excited. I'm like, oh my god! There's actually two on my channel. There's a series that I did with my friend Zarks where we do a lot of leveling and stuff, and we actually did 2 episodes with a Yeti. So it just feels appropriate to me that I have a Yeti mount, and now I do because I have the one from Christmas.
Right.
What?
Yes. Grumpus. Minion of Grumpus.
Minion of Grumpus.
Yes.
So at least I have that one. I'd like to get the one from the
challenge modes.
Challenge modes, and that's one thing I think about every once in a while too with my gold, is I could pay for carries. Luckily I was lucky enough to get my Grove Warden through a carry, but it wasn't one I paid for. It was actually friends that were just going there like, come along. So I'm very thankful for that. But maybe for those challenge modes, if I want that Yeti bad enough, maybe I will. Mm-hmm. That's another place I can throw my gold away. So anyway, but we've got about what about 19 minutes?
20-ish.
Yeah. So let's go and quickly talk. We talked a lot about WoW and lots of different things about WoW, but let's go on to actually the World of Warcraft movie, which will be coming out. Is it June? June, isn't it?
June, yes.
And talk a little bit about how, in terms of the player base, how they're going to react to it or may potentially react to it. For me, I'm very interested in how the general public's going to react to it. But first and foremost, what we've seen the trailers and things like that. What do you think about the movie? What do you anticipate from the film?
Based on the trailer, I'm both excited and a little bit concerned because the Warcraft movie, it doesn't need. It has the potential to have an audience that's much greater than Warcraft, just like all of the comic book movies that are coming out these days. I'd say a good 60% plus of the audience has no idea what that comic book was about. Like, I went to see Deadpool, and I have never touched a Deadpool comic before, and I still really enjoyed that movie, and I think Warcraft can do the same thing. But they need to be really careful with their marketing and with the actual movie itself to make sure that somebody that isn't hardcore into Warcraft is going to still understand what's going on and have an enjoyable experience in the movie and sort of get the feel for the universe, while the hardcore fans still have things to appreciate about it. And right. I'm concerned watching the trailer just because it was like, all right, obviously the CGI looks fantastic. The CGI looks wonderful. I'm really excited about that aspect of it. And I think the actors and the directing is really impressive. But the shots of the trailer that we had seem to really portray this really generic cliche Warcraft story of we are enemies, orcs and humans. We don't like each other, but we have to work together. Can we trust them? I don't know, probably. And we've seen that story so many times, and if the actual movie follows that line that the trailer set out, I don't think it's really going to be all that compelling because they're doing this thing where everybody's saying what they feel instead of showing it through their actions, and it looked cheesy. It honestly looked a little bit cheesy from the trailer, and I'm scared. I don't want it to be bad.
Well, no, I definitely don't want it to be bad either. And that's where I think what you're concerned a little bit is where they're going to have to straddle that line between placating the fans and then actually telling a story that is interesting to non-fans. And that's what worries me. I mean, here, the big thing that I keep thinking of is the first thing people are going to compare this to, non-fans anyway, it's going to be Lord of the Rings. So they're going to just have that as their comparison. And if it's not going to be anywhere near it, they're probably just going to completely scoff at it initially. But my main thing is, are they going to be open-minded enough to understand that, the real crux of this story, one of the things that's great about WoW, one of the things I've always loved about WoW is that there's 2 factions, but no one is bad. Each one has their flaws and each one has their positives. Yeah. And will the general audiences accept orcs as anything but drooling monsters?
I don't think that's going to be a problem. We saw a baby. So? We saw a little orc baby.
I understand that, but
everybody
it doesn't
loves babies.
I don't. But will people?
You can't be bad if you have a baby. That's like movie rules.
Especially when you say it like that. A baby. A baby. But no, seriously, will they go to the theater to even get to see the baby long enough to really get that
I think so. I think the Warcraft has a big enough name and enough of the general population of America has either experienced Warcraft or known somebody that has, that they're at least going to be curious enough to want to see what it's about. I think it's going to get that initial exposure just fine. It's just a question of what people see. And also, people that go into it knowing that it's a big fantasy franchise, but not actually having played the game, they might be a little bit put off by how bright and colorful it is and by how huge the shoulder armor is and how, like, the general Warcraft aesthetic, from what I've seen from the trailer, they're following it pretty closely.
Yeah.
And that's very cool when you're familiar with it, but somebody that doesn't understand that Warcraft is a little bit cartoony might think it looks just weird.
Right, and that's exactly. I mean, and that's where I think the comparisons to Lord of the Rings are going to start coming into play. I think the kicker will be people will have that curiosity, people will have that interest. It's a summer blockbuster, regardless whether you think it's a big name title or one that a lot of people would go to, based on a comic book like an Iron Man or something like that. It's still a big summer movie. Now, what I think is going to push it over the edge will be, besides that kind of curiosity, it will be the reviews. It will be people really talking about what Duncan Jones did. Because if people aren't familiar with Duncan's work, I mean, he's done some really, really critically acclaimed films, Moon in particular. And so if he could take this film and make it interesting like he's done with those films, and also for me, which is important, is show the love that he has for this world and for the game, which he has played, and he does. You can just watch him speak sometime. He definitely loves what they're doing, and I'm really glad they got him instead of just some random. In fact,
that other guy that quit,
Raimi, who was going to basically again make the orcs the bad guys. Yeah. That's one of the reasons they said no, that's not what this is about. So I think I'm really hoping that fact that we got a guy with a track record of doing critically acclaimed films. We'll hopefully be able to bridge that gap from lots of different people and be able to give everybody a little bit of something. And again, take care of the fans, but also tell a story that's engaging for people that don't know this world.
I think what a lot of the community is kind of holding our breath for is hoping that it's good enough to get a Frozen Throne sequel. Everybody wants to see the Arthas story. That's what people really want.
No, agreed. Absolutely. That would be,
that's going to be a good movie if that happens.
They could make a trilogy out of that story. I mean, I don't want to say that because after The Hobbit.
They're going to.
Stretching stuff
It could
out.
happen.
Oh, that was one. I did not need 3 movies for that book. But I would absolutely love to see that whole story play out. I mean, it's just, we've seen it before. That's the only thing I worry about, though, actually, when people look at it. Will they just see Arthas and basically be like, wow, the dude's Darth Vader? I mean,
I guess
let's face it. So, and it's very kind of Romeo and Juliet, I guess. Well, not necessarily, not the best analogy, but So
just because it's a classic story, though, doesn't mean it's not going to play out well on screen. I mean, Avatar was hugely successful, and for all the crap people talk about Avatar, I love Avatar. I think it's an awesome movie, and that's literally a tale as old as time. So. Yeah,
no, that's true. Yeah, as long as it's entertaining, people will definitely hang on to it. And there's a reason why Wrath was such a popular expansion. It just resonated with so many different people. I mean, you look at Arthas, and everybody can kind of relate to, having those moments of weakness and whatever. But it's what you do with them, and watching him make that transition. And frankly, he thought he was doing the right thing initially.
Yeah. It's the most compelling human story that they've ever written. Like really? Many of their other storylines, they're very epic. They're very great evil and demons and banding together to humanity's gonna hold back the evil, and that's great. But it's not a relatable story the same way that the Frozen Throne story is. So.
Right. Yeah. And so, if we can just get this one to hit.
Yeah.
And there's no better time with all the comic book movies and everything, like you said. Think about back before like X-Men and stuff like that. Comic book movies were bad. I mean, the first Superman was good, but the rest of them were but yeah, like X-Men and Spider-Man gave them real credibility, and very thankful that, really think about it. When you think about movies, and now this is kind of off WoW for a second, but when you think about films and everything else, they do storyboards to kind of show what the action is and everything else, basically lay out the film. You got comic books that have been doing that for years. They're sitting right there. Their storyboards right there.
Yeah.
Best source material they could ever had, and the way they were just ignoring them for so long. But of course, special effects and everything kind of caught up too, so that helped. But anyway.
So about the Warcraft movie specifically,
exactly.
Do you think that it's going to bring people to World of Warcraft that have never played before?
That's an interesting question. Especially, I'm assuming you've seen the rumor about whether they're going to give the game away with tickets. That way would be a way that people would be curious and maybe play. I don't think it's going to bring people to the game, honestly. It's an interesting concept.
I think it's quite hard for a gamer. Like if you think of your average gamer that's about the same age as most of us or many of us were when we got into WoW. So think of like your 17-year-old kid,
right,
who wants to get into a new video game, and he's probably at this point played a lot of League of Legends. He's probably seen some Dota tournaments. Maybe he plays Rocket League, whatever. I think it's harder than ever right now to pick up an MMO if you've never played one before and get into it. It's such a different experience from the games that are dominating today's market that I think it's going to be really hard for somebody that's never played one to really experience the magic in the same way that we have.
Yeah, I don't think PC gaming is it's very niche. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But
I think as a whole, it's kind of moving away from this model that we're on.
Right. Yes. And MMOs are let's face it, they're starting to die out too. I mean, unfortunately, we look at Carbine in WildStar. They just laid off 70 people, and that puts that game in jeopardy potentially.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go away completely. I mean, RuneScape is still happening. There's still people that never left that world.
Right.
And I think it's going to be, like, WoW, as we know, is going to be here for a long time. The community is going to support it. But I do think that the rest of the world is going to move on a little bit. And it's going to continue to get harder to get new names into the game, which is a bit of a shame because for a lot of things in WoW, especially PvP in particular, the size of the community is hugely important to how the experience is. If there's a really, really small community and not that many people play anymore, it's going to be harder to find teammates, it's going to be harder to find good queues, and it's just not going to be quite as much fun.
Right. Yeah. And it's like I said, I mean, I'm more concerned about seeing the movie succeed, and that's going to be difficult enough to hope that it's going to bring new players to the game. I think it's just too much.
There's just this dream that it's an amazing movie, and everybody talks about it, and everybody gets that pass. They come play WoW, and then Legion comes out, and Legion is just everything that everybody ever wanted. And then WoW just has 20 million subscribers, and everybody plays, and then we all hand out cupcakes.
Well, that's the kicker, not the cupcakes. But the fact Legion will have to hit a home run to even come close to being able to do that. And,
it needs to.
And right now, I don't know. I'm in the alpha. A lot
of the player base has kind of lost some trust in Blizzard after the whole Warlords thing. Because Warlords was the one expansion everybody came back for.
Right. Right, yeah. And
we all saw how that went.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I understand the distrust and everything else. I do. My concern comes from more specific things. Like, for me, it was the Garrisons that really hurt Warlords. For me personally, initially, anyway. Now I'm loving them, but that's a whole different thing. But I mean, when it comes to Legion, what I would like Legion to be is more like Mists and the expansions prior to that, where it's just you go out and you level and you do the things that you used to do. To me, Garrisons were kind of gimmicky. I'm worried about artifacts being a little bit gimmicky.
I was just about to ask you, do you think the artifacts are Legion's Garrison? Do you think that they put too much effort into making this new system a thing? And do you think it's going to be detrimental to the overall Legion experience?
I don't think it's necessarily, because it's a little less intricate than that one was. I mean, it's still centralized and everything. So from that standpoint, probably. I mean, and that's what I wish they didn't feel like they had to do. People really poo-pooed. They poo-pooed on Mist so bad, but let's face it, that may be the last expansion of what we used to know WoW to be.
Yeah.
And we may continually have some of this other stuff. You got artifacts, you got the class halls, which I still don't know how those work. I mean, you got followers, but they take you out on missions, I guess, or you go out on missions.
They did add new systems in Mist, but for the most part, they were very optional things. Like they added pet battles in Mist, they added the farm, and those are all things that you can never touch in your life, and you'll be fine. You'll still experience WoW.
That's true, but they weren't too far off from what they already kind of had before. I mean, pet battles. I mean, Pokemon, and it's collecting pets and everything. For me, that's all it was initially. I didn't care about the battling part. But and then scenarios. I mean, let's say that's just like dungeons.
Those are done.
Those are done. But yeah, something so centralized, and there's no getting around them. Just like no getting around Garrisons in this. So that stuff makes me a little bit nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish it could be more like it used to be. Luckily, the leveling experience in Legion looks good so far. The zones are nice. I like the fact you can go to any zone and level through the zones how you want. For somebody that levels a lot of alts, that's going to break the monotony up. But yeah, I don't know. I want to be so pumped about Legion, but it's still so early in alpha. And I heard you were talking about on your vlog about how it's crashing and it's just not stable and it's very difficult. It's March, and a lot of people were really hoping this would be out in June to, go with the movie, and it's not.
For the longest time, I thought for sure it was going to be out in June. I was like doing date math and looking at the Reddit posts of other people that did date math, and I was just sure. And now I just don't think it's going to happen. We're halfway through March. We're not even in beta yet. But you know what? Even if the raids in Legion are weird and the artifacts feel trapping and the PvP just like falls off the earth, I'm just going to be happy that I got my wardrobe. I just want the transmog wardrobe. I want that so bad.
Yeah, no, that is going to be pretty awesome. But
and that looks like it works just fine.
I think date math, all I can think of is just like Joe, 1 + 0 = just Joe. Oh, now that's bad date math, isn't it? That's my life. But no, I know. And that's why I'm waiting for that to be a thing in the alpha or beta whenever they bring it in. But I'm really, with that, what I want is to be able to copy my characters over because you can't do that yet.
Right.
So I want to take all my characters, who knows what quests I have stuff from. I can't imagine all the things over 10 years that I kind of have collected, even though I didn't actually use them or anything through quests and whatever else, that I have as options. And oh my God, I mean, and that's the thing.
I wonder if there's going to be a percentage filler, like how sometimes there's like in like your pet battle journal, you can see which ones you have, which ones you don't have, and there's like an add-on that shows you the percentage complete. I wonder if we're going to have that for transmog. So if people are going to try and 100% their transmog wardrobes, and if there's going to be somebody's going to put together an add-on that helps you do that.
Well, yeah, percentage I don't know, but I mean the
probably not the
they have now. They show the number of things that you need, like the ultimate lit you can have, and then they have how many you actually own. So there's going to be people. One of the things about we talk about casual and whatever else. I mean, there's people that just are collectors. I mean, that's a big part of this game. People going out and trying to. We're completionists.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of how people during a drought really keep things going is to finish up those things. We can talk more about that next time because we're actually coming up on 8:30. But yeah, that's and I'm hoping that's going to be a huge. I mean, I think it's going to be really great for the game for casual people like myself maybe, but still I think that's going to help. 2 patch cycle. How long, of a patch between the last patch and the next expansion. I
really hope they've gotten over that 2-patch thing by now. I hope they understand that they want to do the yearly expansion, but it's just not happening. Just accept it and give us an extra patch.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think that's the new business model. I think they've scaled down that sort of thing because they've got so many other games that are doing just fine now. They don't have to kill themselves and make 4 patches and stuff. It's WoW is, I don't know. I don't think it's the
we're not a priority anymore.
We're not the bread and butter anymore. I mean, we are, but we're not. We may not be. We're not the future. That's
not until my Pet Battle tournament launches.
Sadly,
Pet Battle Esports is going to bring WoW back.
On that note, Pet Battle Esports, we really need to make that a thing.
Yeah.
So, but that is the episode. I mean, first episode in the books, which, again, 2 years in the making. We never thought we'd actually finally do this, and here we are. We've got folks in the chat room. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, everybody that ends up listening to this. Right now, we don't have a Stitcher feed or an iTunes feed yet, so I'm going to work on that.
How are we going to do this? Should I put it on my YouTube channel? Can I do that?
We can figure that out.
Okay.
We can figure that out.
We'll pluck it out. We'll figure it out.
Exactly. So, but thank you guys very much for coming and hanging out. I mean, I really do. You just think about it. I mean, like a week ago or whatever. When was it? I think it was a week ago that I got it wasn't even that long. I don't know. But, I just got this Twitter account going and, talking about the podcast and everything else. And, you guys had no idea what to expect coming to this podcast, but you guys still came, hung out, and we really do appreciate you spending your time because that's one thing I will always say. You can spend your money and everything else one way, but you can always earn extra money. When you choose to spend time with people, that's really something special because it's something that you can't get back. And the fact that you
oh
guys
my god, that just blew my mind.
Sorry. But the fact you guys chose to take a little bit of your day and spend it with us, we won't take that for granted. We thank you very much for doing that. So thank you guys very much. We're going to take off. And episode
We'll be back
1,
next week, though.
That's right.
Same time, same place.
Emerald Dreamcast episode 2. We will be, yes, next Monday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. We will be back here on the same bat time, same bat channel. This podcast is not just for druids anymore. So thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next week.
Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.
You do you.